wrestling diehards only, this is the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
That's right. Welcome in. It is the state championship preview edition of the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast here on IdahoSports.com. We are going to be breaking down all of the state tournament action, classification by classification, over the next hour and change here on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, X account, and we are live on Instagram tonight as well. So thank you all for being here with us tonight. The Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast on IdahoSports.com is brought to you by Green Solutions. Green Solutions Cleaning and Restoration. Two brothers born in Rexburg that have been blessed to find a way to work with one another. Here's what they say. Our dad put us on the wrestling mat at 5 years old, and throughout our childhood, we had a lot of success in high school and college. Through wrestling, we learned that having success not only takes hard work, but putting in more time than our opponents. In our business, we have put in the time and energy to make us great at what we do. We feel we have an edge and can help our customers have a great experience. We are the premium carpet cleaning company in the area. Our main focus over the last 3 years has been in water damage, emergencies, and disasters because, well, nobody wants to wake up to a foot of water in the basement. That's like ultimate nightmare. That being said, if you have the ultimate nightmare, Green Solutions Cleaning and Restoration has learned how to de-escalate the situation and help the customer through the difficult time. They say we love East Idaho and we're grateful for this area and our loyal customers. And we thank you, the loyal diehards, for tuning in tonight as we're going to talk 6A all the way down to 3A, 2A, and then we'll wrap up with our girls state wrestling conversation. We want to hear from you in the chat already. We've got some 6A fans rocking and rolling. Ryan Marr says, go Vikings. That's the Middleton Vikings. Lynn, Post Falls Trojans rule. And here's Brian Skellinger, go green, get cleaned, Green Solutions. I love it. So yes, we want to hear from you, the diehards, tonight. You throw your chats in, you throw your comments in the chat. We'll throw them up on the screen. My name is Brandon Bainey. Let me introduce you to the rest of our panel tonight. Coming to us live from the Treasure Valley, Coach Al Fontes. Al, what's going on? And already Al froze. That's a great sign for tonight's show. Al, you with us?
I'm right here. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Okay. Coming to us live from East Idaho tonight as well, Brian Zollinger. What's up, Brian?
What's going on, diehards? How we doing?
Yeah, good to see you. Okay, just so everybody knows in the chat tonight, we're going to follow a somewhat regimented order of how we're going to talk about things. We're going to talk 6A wrestling from now until about 7:15, maybe 7:20. Then we'll go to 5A wrestling for about 15 minutes, then 4A, and then 3A, 2A, and then we'll wrap up with girls wrestling in about an hour. So if you could keep your comments to the classification we're talking about, I can find them a little easier instead of having to go look all over the place for your comment if you want to make sure it gets on the screen. So I want to hear from all of the 6A wrestling diehards right now, like Bethany Diane Valente. Let's go Trojans, Post Falls Trojans. Here's Tiffany and Brian, Meridian Warriors, locked and ready. Matthew Hamilton, let's go Trojans. Hey, how about this one, guys? State wrestling tournament better than Christmas and New Year's combined. That's from Kelly Bartlett. What do you think, Brian?
Absolutely. Best time of the year for sure.
All right. Let's get to it. Let's talk title contenders, team, and then we'll talk about some specific brackets that really have caught our eye here at the 6A level. Al put all of this great data together, Al the supercomputer, and he came up with the very original idea of teams to watch and then other teams to watch. And so our teams to watch: the Meridian Warriors, the District 3 champions; Post Falls Trojans, the champions from the north; the Madison Bobcats, the champions from the east. There's only 3 districts. And then Coeur d'Alene, maybe as a dark horse, second place finisher up north in District 1. And then these are some other teams just to keep an eye on. Could muddy up the water a little bit: Caldwell, Mountain View, and Nampa this weekend. Al, give me one team on this list that you're most excited to see this weekend.
Well, I'm excited to be honest with you. For the boys in the 6A, I'm looking forward to Meridian Post Falls, that battle. But I'm also curious at how one team, it's not really one team. I like to see who's going to rise to the occasion and get in that top 3 between Madison, Coeur d'Alene, as well as Caldwell. So it's really up in the air right now with the other teams. Who's going to break the top 3?
Yeah, Brian, we think it's going to be Meridian and Post Falls duking it out at the top, but what's the team you've got your eye on this weekend?
I think it's going to be Post Falls Meridian, but I think Coeur d'Alene, the way they came through district, bringing 15 individuals there, they should have possibly 3 or 4 in the finals, literally, and then a couple others that are third. So I think Coeur d'Alene could muddy it up. Madison's going to be right there, but I think Coeur d'Alene could squeak out third if it goes chalk. Coeur d'Alene's third right now, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's going to be really interesting to see how it shakes out for sure. We've got the comments rolling in here. Lynn Hammond says number 175, the 175 pounder Trey Smith for the win from Post Falls. Matthew Hamilton, I love this. Winter is coming for the South. And I guess, hey, let's dive right into it. David and Michaela Molina, I am shocked Neville's from Meridian didn't get a 1 seed. Yes, the seeding is always a hot topic this time of year for sure. We've also got a comment from Jose. Let's go Caldwell Cougars, first year in 6A, coming up from 4A and making some noise. Yeah, I'm really excited to see how Caldwell competes on the big state stage as well. So yeah, Al, here is the roster for Meridian. I mean, they are locked and loaded. They are bringing in, Blake Neville's the freshman at 126, district champion, not the number 1 seed. And without getting into specifics, that the seeding always, you could quibble here, quibble there, but just looking at this roster as a whole, this is a pretty good lineup of guys that are ready to compete for the Warriors.
Yeah, they got 28 qualifiers. They broke their district record. I believe they scored around 905.5 points, which is incredible. I think they bring the most to the state tournament overall, and they got 7 returning placers with a champion with Jeremiah Gonzalez going for his 3rd. So they're going to be very tough to beat, but it's going to require an all hands on deck effort because Post Falls is right there.
Brian, who's the X factor in this Meridian lineup?
At 120, they've got Neville's obviously being at 26, the 2 seed. That was shocking. I think Nampa coaches played that really smart way, medical 4-footing out. There's no head-to-heads there. Seeding could be adjusted, but I think 120, they've got the 2 seed and the 5 seed. If they can, if Meridian, both 120 pounders there, Gonzalez and Briggs can be in the top 5 or 6, I think that goes a long ways. They've got a couple that could medal at 57. They've got the 1 and the 6 seed, and so in those weights that they have 2 kids that are seeded, if they can pull them through, they can make it close. But, again, I think Post Falls is going to have 5 in the finals, even though they're bringing 8 less competitors. If it's chalk, Post Falls has it, even with 8 less people. But I think Meridian, if they pull a few of those through, this could be literally a BK Minico situation like last year. It could come down to be that close. And really pinpoints factor in. You're looking chalk and you can kind of guess, but pinpoints can shake that up a lot.
Yep, it is. We're talking, the smallest differences could really make the difference. Here's Coach Derek Booth from North Idaho College. Great weekend ahead. See everyone there. Hey, we're glad that Coach Booth is going to be able to go over and make it. And here's Tiffany and Brian. What an amazing district tournament by Meridian. All those number 2s stepping up big time. They're going too deep at every single weight class except heavyweight. It's just incredible.
I'd like to see that. Has to be a record. 28 out of 30 going to state I've never seen anything like it. Maybe it's happened before my lifetime, but in my lifetime, I've never seen that. 28 kids is just a testament to that program. Obviously, multiple time returning state champions as teams, and they are not going to go down fighting. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah. Here's a shout out in the comments from Brock. From one Brock to another, Brock Armstrong is a stud. Loya is tough. Wrestled my kid at Freestyle State last year. Neville's not a 1 seed. Seed him last. Obviously, he's going to win anyways. We'll see. Vegas is predicting Meridian. Okay, we'll see. I don't know about Vegas. I know in Post Falls, the Trojans, Al, they're feeling pretty good about their chances as well. The District 1 champions. They're going too deep in several weight classes here as well. And they've got a lot of championship, first place type finishers potentially in this lineup.
They got some hammers. They got some hammers throughout the whole lineup. And I always say it comes down to peaking at the right time. So it's last week is over, and right now it's about stepping up and rising to the occasion. And it's about this weekend right now.
I think I'm excited to see, obviously, Seth Martin, to see if he can go for 3 there at 190 for Post Falls. I'm really excited to see Trey Smith at 175 as well. Brian, is there, and obviously, Ryder Seguin, going for 4. I mean, that would be rarefied air, certainly. But who are you looking at on this Post Falls lineup?
Again, Martin, I've said earlier in the season, I think pound for pound right now, he's about the best we've got. It's going to be fun to see him stay at North Idaho and be able to watch him further. But that Seguin-Sean Hall match at 138, potentially, if it is chalk, Hall's the 1 seed, Seguin is the 2 seed. A 3-time state champion coming in as the 2 seed is crazy. But Hall he's a hammer. So that's going to be, I've been looking forward to that matchup all season long, and we just barely missed it a few tournaments. So I think Seguin Hall could be one of the matches I've been looking for literally all year. The Hamilton brothers are going to be fun to watch at 65. That's going to be another. I think Hamilton is the 2 seed. Armstrong from Coeur d'Alene is the 1, but that's going to be a fun one. But really, the whole tournament, Seguin Hall might be the match I'm looking forward to most that we haven't been able to see yet this year.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Both these wrestlers are summer wrestlers, Seguin and Hall. Hall's an All-American a couple times, I believe. So he hasn't won a state title yet, but he's put in the time and it's starting to show. So that could come down to one of the most pivotal matches of the night.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to see how that transpires. We were talking about Meridian and getting 28 guys to state. Bruce says he remembers 25 or 26 in the past, but never 28. That is for sure. So we'll see if Post Falls can steal enough points here to topple Meridian. Meridian has dominated this classification. I believe, Brian, they're going for 4 in a row, right?
Yep.
5.
Oh,
5.
I believe it's 5 in a row, right?
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking 4, but I could be off.
It's incredible. Okay, let's talk about the champs from East Idaho, District 4, 5, and 6, the Madison Bobcats. It used to be just District 5, 6, and then Canyon Ridge moved up this year. So I don't know how much that impacted the number of bids that were available. I got to assume District 5, 6 with 4 got more this year. But Madison is a team that is sneaky. I think a top 3 finish for the Bobcats, Brian, would be a huge breakthrough for this program.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, that's one of the great programs in the state. Coach Peterson has just done an amazing job building that, and they're right there for sure. 3rd, 4th. It's going to be tough, obviously, to beat Post Falls and Meridian based on numbers and what they've got. But Madison is bringing some absolute hammers. They got healthy towards the end of the season. Braxton Hanna coming back, Porter Cottle coming back. Again, they could have 3 or 4 kids in the finals. There's a few things that happen at district tournaments, kids coming down, moving weights that kind of shook that up for Madison, but they're in a good shape. Like I said, they could have 4 in the finals, maybe even 5, and really could mess this whole tournament up.
Yeah, really topple it upside down. That's for sure. More comments here. Tiffany and Brian, yep. 4 titles in a row for Meridian, going for 5 this year. Seeding was really odd at a few weights, honestly, but it will all prove itself out. Freshmen like Neville really penalized for not having district or state results, and also some weight changes a bit for some kids. And like we said, if you are the best, ultimately the seed line doesn't matter. You'll go out and earn it for sure. And here is Coach Nider from Coach Nieder. I never get this right. Nider. Okay.
Yeah.
I just got to trust my gut. He says keep an eye out for Hannah, Braxton Hanna, the senior, at 157 for Madison there as well. So,
I think he got the 2 seed, and he looking great for having as few matches under his belt as he's got already. So it's good to see him healthy.
Yeah, and he's fourth at state last year. So with 6 returning placers and 17 qualifiers, they definitely have the potential to challenge.
Yeah.
Al, let's wrap up with the last team we've kind of identified as a team that could finish top 3 at the podium, the Coeur d'Alene Vikings. having to compete with Post Falls in the same district. They took second place there up at the District 1 meet, but they've got some dudes. You look at Brock Armstrong at 165. Carter Newby, another sophomore district champion at 126. I really like Gabe Larson at 157 as well. This is a Coeur d'Alene team that's got some potential also.
I mean, they bring 15 qualifiers and 3 placers, Rocco White, I believe Tanner George took 4th at state, and then with Coulter Tucker. But they have several kids that are district champions, and some other kids just starting to rise to the occasion. So they may be peaking at the right time. So we'll see.
And Brian, is there one guy you're keeping an eye on from this Coeur d'Alene team?
Armstrong has looked good all season. I think, that 165 bracket, like we said, that could be, him and Hamilton meeting again. I'm assuming, I did not see the results of that. Armstrong got the 1 seed, but I thought Hamilton won the tournament up there. But so I think they just saw he did a 9-6 decision, it looks like. And so, that rematch in the finals is going to be great, but looking forward to Armstrong. Logan Bradley obviously looks tough, should make the finals. And Coeur d'Alene, like I said, I think they're poised to take third. It's them and Madison, and Coeur d'Alene should have, 2 to 3 kids in the finals. 44, 50, and 65 would be, they're seeded 1 or 2 should be right there. The 13-pounder Rocco White could possibly make the finals. I mean, yeah, lots of kids to watch. It's going to be fun.
Yep. That's for sure. And then more comments rolling in here, guys. Damian Hamilton won the districts. We got a couple of confirmations there. Hamilton for the win over Armstrong, which is pretty remarkable. Al, how much momentum does that give you going into state? Scoring a major win like that at districts against the tough guys.
It gives you a lot of energy, a lot of confidence going into state. But going back to the top 3 teams, we also have Caldwell, who has some hammers. Mountain View has about 4 or 5 hammers, and Nampa has about 4 or 5 hammers. So that being said, even though we have the top 3 teams, some of those better kids are going to have to go through some of their studs. So it's going to be interesting how this plays out with the top 5 teams.
Yeah, as we go through this exercise throughout the night, you'll see we put where teams placed in the district tournament, and you'll go and you'll see like Mountain View. Well, geez, they took 7th place at districts, Al. Why are you listing them as another team to watch? Because winning districts and winning state can be different things. If you've got enough quality at state, you could actually sometimes finish higher at state than you did at districts, potentially.
100%. I mean, Mountain View, they have Chaz Patan, Guerrera, Ian Avlos, and then the other Ponton at, I think, Gage at 215s. So they have 4 guys that could be right there, potential finalists. So that's a lot of points. And then Nampa has several kids coming back too with finals and place experience as well. So never count them out. And then Caldwell, as we know, we got Jackson Freeman and Wolf, and then Draven Johns. All of them are capable of making the finals as well. So they'll be up there.
Yep, it'll be a lot of fun. Okay, give me the weight class you're most excited to watch this weekend at 6A, if you guys have one off the top of your head. And we want to hear from you in the chat too. Which weight class are you most excited to see at the 6A tournament this year?
For me personally, I want to see that match with Seguin and potentially with Sean Hall. That way, I want to see how that plays out.
Yeah, see if the Canyon Ridge Riverhawk can get it done. Brian, is there a weight class you're excited to see?
Yeah, I'd have to say the same. 6A 138 just for that match. We've been waiting all year, but the Hamilton Brock Armstrong match, I don't know if this is the rubber. I know they had ultimate tiebreaker earlier in the season, and then Hamilton wins that at district. I mean, that could be definitely fire. And then, Macias from Nampa at 126 has been out most of the season. And Neville's is just, just a hammer as a freshman. I'm just doing amazing things, beating multiple-time returning state champions. So it'll be interesting to see if Macias can, push him, give us a match there at 126 after having, I think, 6 or 7 matches all season.
Yeah, and I'd have to say 120s. I mean, don't we have Jeremiah Gonzalez, Sawyer Anderson from Highland? They're both state champions. You got Vincent Contreras from Nampa and Jackson Freeman as two-time finalists. That weight is going to be tough. So when it comes down to overall weight, 120s is probably the one that's going to be very interesting to watch.
Yep, for sure. Lots of comments here in the chat. Lynn says 175. Bethany says so many good ones to watch, but she's going to go with her kiddo at 175. Brock says Gonzo Freeman could be good. Coach Snyder, 126, 138, 157. Greg says 138. Let's go Sean Hall from Canyon Ridge. Jesus says 175. I thought Antonio Genovese was going to run with it, but Chaz proved otherwise. 120 also deep. Linda's looking forward to the heavyweights, 285. And Brock Steele says 120. So, I mean, no matter where you look up and down the lineup, there's going to be.
And I also have to mention 120 has Dylan Frothinger from Eagle. He's took 4th and 2nd at state. So he's a tough kid too. So I think the quarters are going to be exciting.
Yes,
for sure.
There's going to be some guys battling on the in the blood rounds that you're like, oh man, that's some high end talent.
Some good wrestlers may not come home with the medal this year.
That Frothinger Anderson quarterfinal is going to be a fun one to watch. That's no doubt.
Okay. Well, before we get to our Class 5A state tournament preview, we want to let you know that the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast is brought to you in part by Green Solutions. Local Rexburg raised Green Brothers, providing excellent water, mold, and fire damage business. That's Green Solutions. Okay, guys, let's talk Class 4A. This was the craziest classification last year, where not only was there a tie for the championship between Bishop Kelly and Minico, I still never found out which team actually got to take the trophy home and which team had to have one sent in the mail. But and then we also had a tie for 3rd place between Blackfoot and who was the other school, Brian?
Was it Blackfoot and Bonneville?
Bonneville. That's what I thought it was. And so that was also interesting. This year, I don't think we're headed for a tie. I mean, Al, when you look at the teams to watch here, of course, Minico and Bishop Kelly are going to headline the list. Middleton won the District 3 championship. BK took 2nd, but they've got so much quality at the top. Lakeland, also sneaky out of the north from District 1, 2. And then our other teams to watch, Blackfoot and Bonneville, we talked about them last year. Century comes in as the champions from District 5 as well. But this, almost everything would have to go 100% perfectly right for Bishop Kelly for them to topple Minico, right?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, because Minico's coming in with 22 kids, and Bishop Kelly doesn't have as many as they had last year. They have some quality kids, but we know Minico has a lot of kids that are going to score points. So yeah, it would have to be a perfect storm for that to happen right now.
Yeah.
Brian, is there a team you've got your eye on this weekend?
I mean, I said Minico earlier on in the season, but BK, this is going to be crazy, because if you go by chalk and the kids seated and everybody does what they're seated 1 through 8, Bishop Kelly could win this. They should have, if it was chalk, 6 in the finals, another 2 kids that are 3rd or 4th. But there's no room for error there. I mean, all of their kids that are seated have to do as well as they're seated or better, and they could pull this off. So I wouldn't be surprised. It could literally be as tight as it was last year and come down to, I think BK's got a kid that's seated 8th at 215. Minico's got a kid that's seated 2nd at 215. So it could come down to those last few matches. And then Lakeland, I think Lakeland's probably a solid 3rd this year. Should have a couple champions there. The 98, 120 look really, really good. But then, it's crazy. This is one of those situations we said Middleton wins districts, but I think BK probably places higher at state just because, their top lineup beats anybody in a duel, I think.
Yeah, and they got Samson Castillo. He's a freshman at 165, and he's been ranked, I believe, as high as number 2 in the state. And he's a tough kid for a freshman. So, he's gonna make a big difference too. So they'll need him to be in the top 2, definitely.
Yeah. Starting to get some comments in here, guys, in the chat. Ryan Marr, shout out to the Middleton Vikings, District 3 champs with 16 automatic qualifiers. They will certainly be in the mix for a top 3 spot on the podium. Zach Karskalen won't really make any rumbles in the team race, but watch out for some of those Moscow Bears, Green, Dixon, and crew. And Linda kind of backs that up. She says Dixon is a beast in the heavyweights. Greg is predicting not a barn bummer, but a barn burner again. And here is ACS Idaho. Just in case, appreciate the show. It's fun for us local yokels. So yeah, we're happy to provide this platform for all of you wrestling diehards. Al, let's take a look at this Minico lineup. And again, not quite as deep as what Meridian is bringing to the 6A level, but boy, I mean, they are too deep in over 2/3 of the weights.
Oh yeah. I mean, they got what, six, let me see, 3, 4, 6 state placers and 22 qualifiers. And, they got Preston Stoner Craney. He's going for his 3rd title, but, we have the kid from Sandpoint that's going to probably be a rematch with him and Sandpoint kid.
Tyler.
So it's Tyler, and everyone's gonna have to wrestle their seed or higher to make this happen.
Yep. Brian, who are you most excited to see from this Minico lineup?
That Stoner Craney Tyler matchup at 190 is going to be a lot of fun to watch. What I think is fun is at 106 you could have Teague against Bishop Kelly in the finals. They're seeded 1 and 2 at 138. Naranjo and BK's Mesher seeded 1 there, 144. Tucker, Arthur, and Martino. I mean, that's what's looking fun to me with this Minico lineup is you could have Minico kids in 3 or 4 different finals against BK kids. The team race might be tight. So those matches are going to mean a lot. And the crowd's just going to be going crazy when we get to those. If it's a tight race and you have head-to-head 1 and 2 going against each other in the finals, and it literally could happen in 3, 4 different weights.
Yeah, as a general fan, if you can get as many of those Minico BK finals as possible, that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Go ahead, Al.
No, I was going to say we'll have a better idea on day 2.
Yeah.
Yes. Michael Monroe wants to give a shout out to Blackfoot. They've got the 2nd most in the 5A tournament with a bunch of great wrestlers. And here's Bethany giving some love to Sandpoint's Jordan Tyler. Looking forward to Tyler making some noise in 5A. Great kid, no doubt about it.
Jordan's a tough one.
Yes, he is a great young man for sure. Okay, so there's Minico. Just to give you an idea of what BK is going to be going up against here. Here's Minico. And then here's BK. I didn't even have enough to put a second column together because but I mean, look at all of these district champions, state champions. Of course, Matthew Martino, right? Going for 4 in 4 years, which would be incredible. This is a lineup that is very, very good, not very deep, but I'm looking at a guy like Parker Allenbaugh at 175. And if he can take home a first place finish, that's what you're talking about, Brian. If kids like that can come through and reach just a little higher, then okay, maybe BK can pull this off.
Yep. Nope. Absolutely. I think Allenbaugh is seeded 3rd. And like I said, if it goes chalk and BK's kids finish where they're seated or higher, they can still win this even with 13 kids. But like Al said, there's just no room for error there. And a lot of them, like I said, head to head's going to come down. It's good chance that Holton Crane has Minico in the finals. There's a good chance that Martino has Minico in the finals. And those are going to go a long way to winning the team title if they can pull it off.
Al, give me one BK guy and keep an eye on. Oh, good.
I'm keeping an eye on Matthew Martino. I wish him the best. Great family. He's going, as we know, he's going for number 4. If he were to achieve that, his brother Chris done it just prior to him, and I believe to date there's only been 3 other brothers: the Lawrence brothers, Brett and Jared, the Hobbs brothers, Sawyer and Hunter from South Fremont, and the Rice brothers, Joe and Kyle from New Plymouth, that have achieved that feat. So I believe they would be the 4th, pending it were to happen. So I'm watching him. I wish him the best.
That's pretty cool. Here's Cody Roberts. Lewiston sending 13 boys and 3 girls, several seated in the top 5. Watch out for the Lewiston sophomores. They're hungry. Yes, they're one of those schools that dropped down a level due to enrollment numbers this year. They're competing at the 5A tournament. Linda says crazy hungry. I think they're talking about Lewiston there. And then Ryan Marr says, watch out for Lewis at 175. And here's John Bem. I'm a little biased, but I think potential semifinals at 5A 113 is what I'm excited the most for.
That was a 1-point match at district. John Bame and Aiden Takita, 1 point at district finals. Takita's the 1 seed, Bame's the 4. That's another semifinal that's just going to be fire. And I think they've wrestled 3 or 4 times this season, and every time it's been a really close. The Madison Invitational came down to the last few seconds, the district title. So he's not wrong there. It's going to be a fun one.
Okay, Al, let's talk about Middleton real quick. They were the District 3 champions, nudged out BK for the title. They're bringing a lot of auto qualifiers here. What does Middleton have to do to finish in a top 3 position at the podium at state?
Well, they got Christian Sangali. I mean, he took 3rd at state. He needs to meet his seed or higher. Kemble, Jabin, he's a 3-time placer. He needs a place in the top 3, if not make the finals. Then Ryan Lewis at 75, who was 3rd at state last year, needs to rise up. But they have, overall 17 qualifiers. So all these younger kids coming up, or the seconds or whatever, they have to rise to the occasion and make the second day and win more than what they're seeded.
And then go ahead, Brian.
No, I think, Kemble dropping down to 26. I think he wrestled 1 tournament there, maybe 2 all year. So, I mean, that really shakes things up. That helped Middleton out a lot for Kemble to drop down to 26. So that's going to be fun to see. I think he wrestled Vega, who's the 2 seed earlier in the year, to a 10-8 decision at the Halverson tournament. So, that's going to be fun to watch. I think Lewis, he's proven all season he's the class there at 175. Yeah, I mean, solid team. I mean, these kids, Beeson, at 98, I know he's lost a couple matches to the BK kid and stuff, but he could, he should podium there as well. Lots of kids on this team that are going to be fun to watch for sure.
Yeah, and you got to keep in mind in District 3, it's a 2-day tournament. There's more than a few teams. There's a lot of, I think up 16 teams. So almost every one of their kids was in the top 2 or 3 in the district. That's solid. It means they're winning a lot of matches. And if they can repeat that this weekend, they'll definitely be in the mix for the top 3.
Yeah.
Yep. It's going to be interesting. And then Lakeland is the other team we've kind of pegged as potentially could finish on the top of the podium in terms of a top 3 finish. They've got some really good guys in the lighter weights. I'm looking at Carson Leonard at 120. Should be really good. I'm also looking towards Sabatke at 165. He won the district title. What can he do at state? It's going to be interesting for Lakeland representing the North. It's been a minute since Lakeland was able to bring a good depth of guys like this to state to compete. So
yeah. I think they can be a solid. Again, BK and Minico are going to be hard to beat. I think Lakeland, that fight for 3rd, Middleton, Lakeland, even Bonneville and Blackfoot, I think are going to be in that race just because they have so many numbers. And honestly, for that 3rd spot there's probably 5 teams, including Lewiston and Sandpoint, who could be in the mix. But I think Lakeland's probably the favorite to do it. Teal should be in the finals. Carson Leonard's should be in the finals. I mean, there have to be upsets to be not. So I'd say Lakeland's a solid 3rd, but honestly, that 3rd place race, it could be just like last year. It's going to be tight. There's 5 teams right there between Bonneville, Blackfoot, Sandpoint, Lewiston that could push Middleton, Lakeland for that 3rd spot.
Yeah. Okay. All sorts of comments rolling through here, guys. Billy and Chelsea giving some love to the East Idaho boys. We were talking about Aiden Takita a little bit earlier on. Ryan Lewis at 175 for Middleton got his 100th varsity win on his 17th birthday against Madison at the end of January. Hey, happy birthday. That's pretty cool. Al, how did you get that little thumbs up on your screen? How'd you do that?
I just did that.
Oh, that was cool. Yeah. I don't know.
Wow.
It's AI.
Oh my gosh. Al is a supercomputer. Wow.
Oh, not even close.
That's a new function. That's impressive.
Yeah, cool. Here's 50
I was going to do another sign, but I won't do it. No.
Yeah, we don't need
trouble.
that kind of stress.
No,
yeah.
no.
Yeah, Tiffany and Brian say as a 6A dad and coach, I sure wish I could watch more of these other classifications this weekend. So many great kids and matches. It is hard sometimes. If you've got kids in one classification, you're kind of in a silo there for sure. And even just to watch other weights sometimes is difficult. Coach Snyder says weights to watch for 6A, 138, 144, 150, and 157. Shout out to Carson Leonard from Lakeland, from Bethany up north. Thank you. Al, you were talking about the 2-day district tournament for District 3. Kelly says, 5A District 3 only has 6 teams. 6A has 14. So that's a pretty stark difference here. Okay. Let's go Carson and Caleb from up north. And here's Travis Tyler from Sandpoint. Excited to see 98, 120, 190, 215, 285. Just off the top of my head, I'm going to guess there's a lot of good Sandpoint guys in all of those ways.
I think there is.
David says, don't count out the Hawks. And here's Lynn. Even though I'm a 6A grandma of Post Falls High, I do live in Rathdrum. Let's go Lakeland Hawks. Yeah, boy, if Lakeland came back with a trophy, that would be the town, the community would just love that. So that would be awesome. And Dana says, keep an eye out at 132 as well. In the 5A ranks here at State. All right. I think the 5A race is going to be a fun one for sure. And again, it's the contrast in styles, the quantity of Minico versus the quality of Bishop Kelly. We never really got the answer to the question last year, which strategy was better as they tied. We'll see this year. I do lean Minico slightly, just me personally. Coach Snyder also wants to shout out Mason Peck of Idaho Falls getting 100 varsity wins. And Linda says Sandpoint is bringing the fire. Okay, I want to see it. Sandpoint, like Brian, you mentioned, they're kind of in this pot of teams that could challenge for that third, fifth place finish behind Bishop Kelly and Minico potentially.
Yeah, I mean, they're only bringing 10 kids down, but literally looking at what they've got, I think of the 10, 8 of them are seated in the top, are seated kids. And so, they could make some noise. The 98-pounder, Jordan Tyler should be in the finals. So yeah, for bringing 10 kids down, it's pretty impressive. They're going to be in the mix with these other schools that are bringing 18 down. Testament what they're building.
Al, Cody says, word on the street, the Utah Valley University coaching staff may be present this weekend.
Happy to hear it because there's a lot of good wrestlers they need to look at. So that's good. Look forward to seeing them.
Yeah, I think if Coach Hall doesn't have something going on, there's no way he'd miss the Idaho State tournament. So
that's right. Honors Ferry native and doing great things there at UVU down there in Orem, Utah, for sure. Ryan, real quick, Brian's stash for third at State. Yeah, had to get a stash comment in there, of course. All right, we are going to pivot to our Class 4A wrestling discussion, but first, thanks to our presenting sponsor, Green Solutions, East Idaho's trusted choice for fast, reliable flood recovery. All right, Class 4A. Fruitland set a new record last year for most points compiled at a state 4A, what was previously 3A classification. It may have been an all-class record, too. I can't remember if they set the new all-class record for most points last year. And they are loaded up and ready to go once again this year. Our teams to watch, Fruitland, American Falls, and Snake River. How about that? The Beavers and Panthers tied for the district championship over there in District 5, which is pretty remarkable. And then a whole contingent of teams we are used to seeing have a lot of success at state in our other teams to watch: Buell, South Fremont, Homedale, Marsh Valley, Weiser. Al, Fruitland is so tough and so deep. Does anybody have a shot to topple the Grizzlies at the top?
If Fruitland wrestles to its potential, no, but I would say we got to keep an eye on American Falls because they bring a good, strong contingent, and they got some solid kids with all American backgrounds that have wrestled throughout the summer. They got Blaze Turner, they got Nathan Googleman, as well as Wade Williams coming back, and then Chance Povey, who was second at state last year. So they got some hammers themselves. But I would say, I don't know, Fruitland just, if they're wrestling their potential, they're going to be very difficult to beat.
Yeah. Brian, what do you think about this 4A landscape here?
Yeah, I think Fruitland is going to be really difficult to beat. But Fruitland could have, again, 5 or 6 in the finals. But American Falls, I think they're going to have almost 4 guaranteed in the finals. I mean, their upper level kids are they're going to be there. And it could come down, 190, Blaze Turner's the 1 seed. The Buell kid is the 2 seed. I think that's a rubber match. That could come down to the, in the finals there. American Falls, Buell in the finals at 190, a late match in the tournament. Could be a decider. American, they tied at district, but this is one I think American Falls, the quality of the kids that they're bringing, their top 5 or 6 puts them in a solid second. And then the race, I think, is Snake River and Buell for 3rd and 4th.
It'll be interesting for sure. Here is Brock Steele at 4A. My toughest dude is Coy Kaufman. Yeah, I really like Coy Kaufman. I mean, I've seen him play in some other sports like football and baseball over the years at Fruitland. But when we look at this Fruitland lineup, I mean, where do you start? There's Caden McKenzie at 157, and there's Quinn Hood at 215, and there's Marcus Ailman at 120. Those are the names we're used to hearing. I do think Coy Kaufman has flown under the radar a little bit this year, Al, which is crazy for a guy who took second at state last year.
Yeah, I mean, he took 6th, 4th, and 2nd at state, so he's a 3-time placer. So, yeah, he's right there. I mean, he could be you're talking a team that's returning 11 placers. I don't think another team in the state is bringing 11 placers back. So they definitely, if they're on all cylinders, they can meet or exceed what they did last year. We just have to wait and see how they perform.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that Kaufman Googleman match, I mean, that was just money at Raleigh Lane. That's another rematch that I'm just waiting to see happen. That could be a fireworks final. Kaufman and Googleman is going to be great. And McKenzie and Pierce against Buell. I mean, I think, McKenzie's solid this year. I don't know what's he lost, 1 match maybe. So that one's going to be fun too. But Al's right. I mean, these guys, what they're bringing back, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Too deep at every weight class except 3. I mean, that's usually a good indicator. And yet, let's look at American Falls. Okay, American Falls is bringing, for tying with Snake River for the team title. They both brought. I mean, I don't even know how Marsh Valley or Bear Lake or anybody got anybody in with American Falls and Snake River gobbling up so many bids here. But we mentioned the Beavers. It's a team with a lot of potential, right? I'm looking at Mason Aiken and Googleman we talked about. Blaze Turner, Al mentioned. Al, who's going to be the X factor here for American Falls, where you'll go, if this kid is in the finals, okay, American Falls might have a shot at this thing.
Woo. They got several kids with potential. They got Evan Sims. I mean, he's 4th last year, but he has Wade Williams. That's another kid. Avalos is a 2-time placer. He's yet to make the finals, nor Blaze Turner. I think they have about 2. All those guys have potential, but one of them are going to have to make the finals. But going back to Fruitland, I mean, mathematically, it's going to be very difficult. It's possible if they have a good first 2 rounds, if Fruitland has the first 2 rounds and gets a lot of pens in those rounds, it's going to be hard to catch up to them, especially if they get majority of their guys in the finals. So I don't know. We'll know on day 2. Right now, it just looks difficult.
I think I found our title for the episode. We'll know on day 2. That's Al's dropped that a couple of times already tonight. For sure. Okay, Brian, let's talk about Snake River. They were the other team that tied with American Falls over there at the District 5 district tournament this past weekend. They are a team that, I mean, there's a lot of freshmen and sophomores in the lineup, Brian. This is a team I see maybe they're a year early, and next year really could. I mean, they'll do great this year also, but I'm saying like next year with a year of seasoning under their belts, this is a pretty young team and yet very exciting.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you look at those upper weights, 192, 215 and 285 with, lower classmen at those weights. It's super impressive. In the finals, they've got a shot. Gus Packer could easily be in the finals. Reynolds, returning state champion, should be in the finals. That could be one of the fun weights to watch, 126 with Reynolds. Obviously, Bowden Banta is just a brick wall, so good luck with that. But, I mean, it's still going to be fun. And, they should They're bringing quality, and I'm with you. With all those sophomores and freshmen, these guys are not going away. I don't think they've got the horsepower on the upper end this year to beat Fruitland or American Falls, but between them and Buell, maybe even Weiser in that chase for the third place, possibly even so with South Fremont, we could have a 4-way race for third in 4A as well. I think Snake River, Buell, Weiser, but Snake River's got the horses to do it.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how it shakes out there. Let's pull this back up here. The other teams to watch. These are teams that are no strangers to finishing, like for South Fremont, at the very top of the podium, but teams that are certainly used to competing for trophies. Al, give me one of these teams in this other teams to watch group that you think could break through.
Homedale's got a handful of lightweights. They got some good. I mean, it's Buell, Homedale. I mean, even Weiser. Weiser has a handful of kids that can break in the top 5. So those 3 teams right there have potential to get in top 5, in my opinion.
Yeah. When I was looking at this, if you wanted to make a team that walks through this, you combine the lightweights of Homedale with the upper weights of Weiser.
Yep.
You got Homedale 198 through 120, and then Weiser up above that, and you make a really good team.
Yep.
Yeah, and I guess I'm always keeping an eye on South Fremont. South Fremont's got some great individuals, certainly, that I'm excited to see compete.
Yeah. I mean, Packer at 113. We've mentioned it earlier in the year, but 50 whatever he is in now, 58-0 as a freshman. He's on rarefied ground right now, and so that's going to be fun to watch, and he should pull that off. It's hard to see somebody 58-0 losing for the first time in the state tournament, but it happens. So
yeah.
Yep.
Looking forward to Bowden Banta. He's going for number 4. I wish him the best. Be great to see. Wish him the best.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, guys. Let's hear from the fans in the chat, but also from you guys. What kind of weights are you looking forward to? Here's Dakota Stallions. Packard versus Painter from Homedale would be a fun finals. Of course, here's Allison Banta cheering on Bowden for the 4th time. What's a weight class, Brian, that you're excited to see in this 4A competition?
150 again. Kaufman and Gugelman is just a match I'm looking forward to. At 57, it's going to be interesting to see. This could have a big outcome. Is it 57? With Avalos from American Falls should hit Case Fulmer from Teton in the semis. That could go a long way to the team race if Avalos can pull off what would be a seeding upset, because I think Fulmer is seeded 2nd. So the 57 weight class is going to be fun. Too many, and like they said, that 13 just to see if Packer can pull off the undefeated freshman season and put him right up there for Chase and Ridge Lovett's the last person I think to go 4 years undefeated, 4-time state champion. So too many to name them all, but those are a few I'm looking at.
Yeah,
Greg,
I have to agree with you on that.
Greg in the chat singles out 132 and 190. Brock says Trevor Painter, Porter, Swan, Arredondo, tough lighter weights there. Nathan Willoughby wants to give a shout out to Big Bad Quinn Hood at 215 from Fruitland. And here's Christian Ramirez giving some of the Weiser Wolverines some love, guys. Cobb at 144, the other Cobb at 175, and Sarich at 165. That's Cash Cobb and is it Ty Cobb?
Yeah.
And I remember that name standing out because, of course, Ty Cobb was one of the greatest baseball players that ever lived and spelled the exact same way. So I did a double take when I saw that. And Luke Sarich also at 165. Very good guy for Weiser. Weiser will be a sneaky team this weekend, too, at the 4A competition for sure. We should mention all of these are taking place over at the ICCU Dome over in Pocatello. Brian, for the fans that have never been there before for state wrestling, this to me is it's hard to beat state wrestling in the Dome in Pokey.
It is. It's one of the great venues in all of the United States. I mean, it's not too big. That whole ICCU Dome and the Fargo Dome are 2 of my favorite anywhere in the country. I mean, it's nice that I also really like the freedom that you have there. I mean, it's rare that you can go in without a long line for metal detectors. You can take food in, which is, for wrestling families, that's just a huge plus to be able to bring coolers in for your kids and stuff. So one of the great venues in all of wrestling, I think.
Yep. And for those fans, the last time State was in Pocatello was 2 years ago. Right?
Just last year, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, last year. So it's 2 years in a row. It's in Pokey.
Yep.
Oh, why did I think it was at the Idaho Center last year? I must have had a brain cramp. Okay. I was going to say all those remodels are done, the renovations and whatnot. But that was last
it's
year.
Nice. But I think they go 2 and then 1. 2-1 is what the rotation is, I think.
Yeah. Kelly says watch 165, Fulmer versus Avalos. Linda wants to know how many mats. 16?
Yeah.
I think it's 16.
Yeah.
And Amanda, here's the real question. Can we as spectators bring in food? That's what everybody wants to know.
We can, definitely. That's what makes it so great.
Yeah. I'll see if my screen does the cool thumbs up thing like Al's. No, it doesn't.
It didn't do it again.
Yeah. Here's Tiffany and Brian. I just wish Pocatello had enough hotels and restaurants for this big an event. Stinks for the families that are just now trying to get hotel reservations. Yeah, it is tough between, because you could go to Idaho Falls, that's about 45, 50 minutes, depending on where you're staying, but it's tough for sure.
Well, we got plenty of hotels and places right here in the Treasure Valley.
No doubt.
Yeah,
we're well aware, Mr. State of Ada. Yeah. All right. We got our first. Here's Amanda. We're staying in Ingham. Okay. Hey, there's a lot of worse places you could stay. You're right there on the ski hill, and the Lava Hot Springs isn't that far away. So that's not. And here's Lynn. Airbnb is the only way to fly. Yeah, I really wish I had kept my house in Pocatello and I could rent it out, but unfortunately. All right, let's get to the 3A 2A conversation. We got our first 3A 2A shout out. Before we do, though, we want to thank Green Solutions, East Idaho's family-owned expert restoration for water, mold, and fire damage, seamlessly working with your insurance. Here's Carter Kimball from Grace. How about tearing his ACL and meniscus in the district finals and wrestling through it? Brian, who was it last year for Bonneville that literally broke his nose in the middle of the match and then adjusted it and continued?
Yeah, I can't remember who that was. I don't know why.
That was sick, though. It was Bonneville. I'm pretty sure it was. But yeah, that was epic for sure.
It was. That's pretty gutsy. That's the great sport of wrestling, is to see something like that. Good job for Carter, and way to battle through it.
Yeah. The Grace Grizzlies are a prime contender to be the top placing 2A team that competes here. This is 3A, 2A, and 1A. They all compete kind of under the Class 3A banner. And so, Al, if we take a look here at our 3A, 2A teams to watch, the Malad Dragons. I mean, it's really kind of the 3 district champions that come in with like full complement of lineups. Malad, Ryrie, Kellogg from the north. New Plymouth was the champ from District 3. Declo was the champ from District 4. And Tri-Valley, they took third at districts behind Parma and New Plymouth, but they've got some really outstanding individuals and could contend there. And that's impressive because they're a 1A school and one of the smallest schools that's going to be there competing. But what do you think of this field, Al?
At least the top 3 or 4 teams have enough to really make it close. It's going to come down to just teams peaking at the right time. This is a difficult one. I'd say Kellogg, Malad, and Rary are probably your top 3. Can never count out New Plymouth. They know how to win. I mean, they bring enough guys coming in where if they step up, they can be in the mix and challenge for it. But I'd say those are the top 4 teams right now, in my opinion, that can challenge for that top spot.
Brian, at the start of the year, we were all kind of in consensus. We really liked Malad. I tell you what, though, as we're getting closer and closer to this thing, the lure of Kellogg is reeling me in a little bit. Talk me off the ledge here.
I wish I could. I was solid Malad, and I still think they've got a chance. But Kellogg bringing 17 kids and those lower weights. I mean, 113 Kellogg's got the 1 and 2 seed in the weight. So Kellogg is going to build a good size lead. Malad's got some good lower weights. Their 6-pounder is the 1 seed, and then they've got some top 5 or 6 kids in the other lower weights, but Kellogg is the 2 and the 3 seed at 106, the 1 and the 2 seed at 113, the 2 seed at 120. It's going to be tough. I picked Malad to win it in the beginning of the season. Still think they could, but man, Kellogg looks really, really solid right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a look here. We've got comments here. Let's see. Nathan Willoughby, Gabe Cox is ready to show out this weekend. The new Plymouth Pilgrim. Jonette Hill, a shout out to Riker Vale. Here's Zach Karskalen, 126. Ian Schwecke for the Kendrick Tigers is on a tear. Got to give the Tiger Bear some love. That's right. He wrestled with Moscow during the regular season, but he will be representing Kendrick at state for the Tigers at the 1A level or the 2A level. Here's Simon Miller, our good friend from Kellogg. He says the Cats are tough, but they struggle in the later weights as far as volume. And here's Lynn. Go Kellogg. Us North Idaho people, we stick together. Post Falls, Lakeland, Kellogg are going to have a lot of mutual admirers this weekend for sure. So let's get to it. Here's Malad. Here's what the Dragons are bringing. Couple of district champions here, Al. Gabe Hoost at 175 is the guy I'm looking at here. And Oren Miller, I think, is going to do really well at 285, former North Fremont Husky now at Malad. But if Gabe Hoost at 175 can not just win, but really pile up some points, I think Malad could be okay.
Yeah, because they return 4 state placers with a few, 3 of them making the finals. So if he can rise and get a medal, and those other wrestlers that got state credentials can place what they're seeded or higher, then they'll have a good chance of challenging for it.
And obviously, Drake Morrison at 150, a guy where we've been keeping an eye on all year. Brian, how many individual champions is it going to take to win this classification? Because I think it's going to be so diverse and so spread out. If a school is able to get like 3 or 4 individual champions, that's going to go a really long way.
Yeah, I think it's going to take 4 to win it, because you look at Malad and they could do it because you're going to have Morrison in the finals. Jack Willie should be in the finals. Oakley Maddox is the top. I don't know what he ended up, 3rd or 4th seed. Hoosty, I think, is the 4th seed. You're right. If his match at 175, if he can make the finals there and take out the 2 seed, I can't remember who the 2 was in that weight, but at 75. But really, I think, and Oren Miller hasn't wrestled a whole lot of the season. I fully anticipate he will be in the finals. He's the 1 seed, so Malad literally should have 4, maybe 5 in the finals, and that could just be enough to knock Kellogg off. But like we said, Kellogg's going to have the same thing in the early 4 or 5 weights. So, but if you can pull Morrison, Hoosty, Maddox, and Willie along with Miller to the finals, they could pull it off.
Yep. Here is Kellogg Wildcats Live. They do such a great job broadcasting all Kellogg high school events throughout the school year. The 190 and 285 for Malad look tough. Ryden Montgomery and, of course, Oren Miller there. So, yeah, those could be key for sure. Here's Brock Steele. I coach at New Plymouth. We know how to win. Let's go. We got some kids who are undersized. Watch out. Plus, I have the exhibition match with the ref, Clint Milron. Again, look out, New Plymouth coming to win.
I'm waiting for that match with Brock and Clint, man. That's going to be fire. New Plymouth's got, they've got some kids that are going to score some points for sure, and they've got 12 coming. They're definitely in contention for a trophy. I think Kellogg, Malad 1 and 2, but between Ryrie, Declo, New Plymouth, and even Westside has got some solid kids. They've got the 1 seed at 16. There's a few teams that are going to be pushing for that trophy, but New Plymouth's in the running for a team trophy, I think, if they play it right.
Yeah, teams that aren't on this list that I would also say keep an eye on: Westside, definitely. I would say Firth, definitely. North Fremont took second at districts behind Ryrie, is a team. Parma, I think you should keep an eye on too. There's a lot of really good teams that aren't on this list that are also going to have may surprise you. You get done with day one and you look at the scores and you go, interesting. I think there's going to be a lot of that at this level, especially. Okay, so here's Kellogg, and here's what the Wildcats are bringing. Brian, you mentioned it, the numbers. They're going too deep at 6 different weights. They only had 2 district champions, 1 senior, 1 freshman, but they've got a lot of state placers coming back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, I think it's 113 that their two kids are the 1 and the 2 seed. 106, they've got a top seed, so they're going to be tough. They're going to rack up the points early. You can see they kind of drop off after that, but to have 2 heavyweights in the thing, I mean, maybe there is drama at the end.
I'm really looking at Chase Scribner at 138 as a kid that if he can break through, took 3rd 2 years ago, 6th last year. I think he's going to be kind of an X factor for this Kellogg lineup. Al, what do you think about this Wildcats lineup?
They're tough, and like I said, I think they're good enough. I mean, if they're peaking at the right time, they got enough kids to challenge for that title. But once again, Malad and Rary and New Plymouth got some guns too. So it's going to come down to the team peaking at the right time.
Okay. Before we get to Ryrie, let's get some more comments in the chat here, guys. Here is Gary Jones. He broadcasts for us on IdahoSports.com. Go Pilgrims, bring home another title. Gary won a state baseball championship at New Plymouth as a coach in the 90s. So he knows about winning at New Plymouth for sure. Nathan Willoughby backs that up. Let's go Grims. Eddie Card says, let's go Firth. Mark Boothby says Nampa Christian's bringing 9 guys. Keep an eye on the Trojans. Eddie also says great classification to keep an eye on. Going to be some fire matchups. And 2 of those guys for Kellogg wrestled the same team. We were talking about the top 2 seeds. Okay, let's quickly break down Ryrie and what do the Bulldogs have to do. Very famously, Ryrie won this title, I think it was 3 years ago now, in the heavyweight match, Brian. It was basically a walk-off win where I can't remember the kid's name, but he basically had the big bear hug with his coach and delivered a very narrow come-from-behind win for Ryrie in the final match of the night. What do the Bulldogs got to do to repeat that magic?
Every kid they've got to bring has got to show up. Like we said earlier, Malad's going to potentially have 4 to 5 kids in the finals. Kellogg should have 3 or 4 kids in the finals. So for Ryrie to pull this off, they've got to have everybody show up, and they could. I mean, Jones could be in the finals at 126. Both Coons and Moon should medal, should be top 6. I think they both got seeded top 8, but they're both top 6 quality kids. Schwinnemann's going to be right there, and then the Harris is at 90, and James Hansen, returning state champion. That's going to be a fun way to watch. 157 and 165 is really solid, but Ryrie's just got to have their kids perform, and they seem to peak every year at the right time. So you can never count Ryrie out of this. They're definitely in the hunt for a trophy. It's going to be tough to get by Kellogg and Malad unless they have a perfect tournament.
Yeah, and they got Chesley Webb at 120. He's going for his 4th state medal. So if he can make the finals or top 3, that'll help a great deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think Hansen from Ryrie will have Maddox in the semis, that's a big team. The winner of that match, that helps their team a lot, whether it's Hansen or Oakley Maddox from Malad. That's going to be a weighty semifinal match for sure.
That's a good way to put it. Okay, here are some more comments. Nathan Willoughby, 220 New Plymouth. Nolan Dara will make it far this year. We've got Tiffany and Brian. Super excited to see what you guys are building there at Nampa Christian. We talked about the Trojans bringing 9 guys. Best of luck, Coach. Go get them. Coach Snyder, James Hansen is a hammer. And Kevin Mullenberg from Glens Ferry says 126 is going to be a barn burner. And here you're getting some love from Kellogg Wildcats Live. Weighty, excellent wrestling on there. Yes, for sure. Al, individually, there's going to be some individual kids from school, schools that aren't in the team race. I'm thinking of Mullenberg at Glens Ferry potentially. And that's what makes this level so much fun is there are kids that are coming and they are going to be, in some cases, the lone representative for their school and are going to have a chance to really put their school in the spotlight just because of what they're doing individually.
Yeah, I mean, along with Gabe Mullenberg at Glens Ferry going for number 3. I mean, he's a 3-time finalist. You got Carter Kimball from Grace going for number 3, and I wrote a Hidden Gems on Wallace Durfee from Declo. He's an All-American. He's going for number 3. So I look forward to them bringing home their third title. So those are the 3 kids I'm watching.
Yep. Shout out to James Hansen getting 100 dubs as a sophomore. That's pretty impressive. We're going to keep track of that as his career goes on. But that'll do it for our 3A, 2A, 1A state wrestling breakdown. Also, hey, Gabe Mullenberg, 4-time district champion now. That's pretty impressive too. So way to go. We're excited to go see him compete this weekend for Glens Ferry. Okay. We kind of just skimmed the surface. We kind of gave you the teams, some of the weights to keep an eye on for each classification. If you want more, if your cup runneth over, Al is working on writing very detailed, very comprehensive state wrestling tournament previews. They should be up on our site, IdahoSports.com, sometime before state. I don't want to put any pressure on Al, so I'm going to say state starts Friday.
I like the pressure. Keep the pressure on.
All right, sometime tomorrow. I
can make it happen.
I was gonna be pulling an all-nighter. He's got to go boil a pot of coffee and get going.
I love the pressure.
I can't wait for those articles. It's you're right, Brandon. We just scratched. There's so many kids deserving of shouts out and talking to them that I'm thinking back at all the divisions and the kids that we went through that we didn't get to mention. So I love it when Al's articles come out and you can see, who's coming and really break it down.
Yeah, I'll break down 3-time champions, 2 times, all the 3-time placers, and all the teams like you listed tonight with all who they have coming back. So, it'll be pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, I'm looking forward.
30 pages total.
Yeah, 30 pages. That's awesome. Hey, a lot of drive time to get over to Pocatello, all right? Make sure if you're sitting shotgun, you just pull up the articles and read it all, and you'll be the smartest person at the ICCU Dome this weekend. Okay, a couple more shout-outs here, and then we'll transition to our girls wrestling preview. I'm really excited to talk about this. Kevin says Henry Thomas from Glens Ferry is also going to put it on at 120. Brock Steele, 4-point favorite over Clint Milron. Total match spread is 12 points. And Brock says, shout me out. There's your shout out, Brock. I got you. Al, you said you love the pressure. Amanda says pressure makes diamonds. All right. NFHS got nothing on IdahoSports.com. Hey, we appreciate it. Kellogg Wildcats Live. We thank you for the kind words. John Blaisdell, coach at Malad, thanks for doing this all year. Appreciate you guys. Go Dragons. I'm excited to see if Malad can pull this thing off. They were my preseason pick, so I'll stick with them in the subject of trying to look right and smart. I'll be pulling for Malad this weekend. And here's Samantha. She says, let's go Raft River as well. One of those 2A schools that's going to be over there competing. All right, guys, just about ready to talk girls wrestling, and this is by far the toughest to peg. This could go a number of different ways. It's going to be a lot of fun. But first, Green Solutions, family owned, expertly restoring water, mold, and fire damage, and working seamlessly with your insurance. Okay, let's bring on our girls wrestling expert and advocate. He has been patiently waiting backstage for us to get done with all of this other talk. It is Fred Bartlett. Fred, love the background tonight.
Oh yeah, that's Heartland a couple of years ago. There's a bunch of girls in the high school tournament that are on that team a while back. So that's pretty cool.
Some pretty prominent.
Appropriate. So
yeah, some pretty prominent alumni there for sure. Okay, Fred, we've talked about all year long girls wrestling in terms of predicting the team title is going to be almost impossible because the quality is so good. There were several great wrestlers that were left home because there was only a certain amount of spots available. Just to give you an idea of what we're looking at here are the teams that we said you should keep an eye on. I mean, we've got like 12 teams listed here: Thunder Ridge, Rocky Mountain, Cuna, Eagle, Meridian, Buell, American Falls, Bonners Ferry, Grace, Middleton, Mountain Home, Sandpoint, Twin. I mean, the list is exhaustive, Fred. That, I think, speaks volumes to how far girls wrestling has come.
Yeah, for sure. Everybody's just so spread out. Everybody's got 3 or 4 girls that can make some noise. So it should be exciting. I'm really excited to watch it.
Yeah. This is going to be a fun team race for sure. Lynn says last year Post Falls had 1 girl. This year we're sending 7. What is the highest number of? I mean, I got to think
9.
10, yeah, not. I was going to say 10, but 9. Al.
Twin Falls, I believe, right, Fred?
Yep.
Yeah, Twin Falls has 9.
And it looks like CUNA maybe is bringing 9 also. So
And Rocky Mountain's bringing 8. Thunder Ridge is 7. Eagle 7. CUNA 6. Meridian 5. Buell 4, right? 4, Fred?
Yeah, 4.
And then I believe Sandpoint's bringing 7. So,
and again, Fred, when we're looking at this list of teams, you're going to see like, oh, Meridian, they took 6th place at districts. So Buell took 5th place. But when you get to state, if you've got really good hammers at the top of the lineup, especially at this girls' field, it's only going to take a couple of hammers to really pile up the points and run away with it. The depth will help certainly, but it's not as important at this girls' level because it's going to be so spread out, right?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's going to come down to placers. Who's going to get the most placers? And I think there's 5 or 6 teams that can have 3 or 4 placers. That's probably enough. So,
yeah, we're already starting to get in some comments here. Here is Brian. Is this a relation to you?
Yeah, that's my wife.
Okay. No Skyline girls, 6 girls. Ann says Jerome has 5, and of course Billy and Chelsea giving some love to the Thunder Ridge girls. Let's start there. I think on paper, if we had to pick a favorite coming in, Fred, I think we'd point to Thunder Ridge. They had a lot of success last year, of course, at state. They do have some talented returners coming back. Kind of break down this Thunder Ridge lineup here as we take a look at who made it to state from this team.
yeah, so just they got 3 girls that I think could possibly make the finals, which would be phenomenal. Taylor Brown, I think, is a 2 seed. Gracie Price is a 2 seed, and Shauna Anderson's a 1 seed. So Shauna's a returning state champ, so she's got to be the favorite to win there. So should be interesting. So I think they're probably, until somebody knocks them off, they're probably the team to beat. So
right. That is the impetus for all the other teams that are coming in. Al, I will point to the only other state champion in Idaho history since it became an official sanctioned sport. Of course, Thunder Ridge last year, but before that, it was Eagle. Eagle took 2nd place over there in District 3 last week, and Eagle is bringing 7 girls as well, including Emery Woods, who we know is outstanding, took 4th at state last year. What do you think about this Eagle lineup?
very well coached. I can tell you, I watched that entire tournament between them and Rocky. The coaches on each side did a great job preparing these girls for the district championships, and I'm sure they're going to be prepared for state, because I can tell you throughout that whole tournament, 2 days, the team score was going back and forth, and it came down to the last match for Rocky to pull it off. That's how close it was.
Yeah, Rocky did end up winning the district championship. Here are all of the Grizzlies that are coming to state, Fred. A couple of district champions, and also Talia Nichols, who, of course, earned that. At the time, we called it an upset last year, but I think she comes in now, as one of the favorites at 114 this year.
yeah, for sure. We're looking for the rubber match between her and Jolie Slider in the finals. Should be they're 1-1 this year. Should be no. I think Jolie just beat her once, but thinking back to state last year. So I think Rocky's got probably the most depth, the most girls. They can probably do the most damage. So should be interesting.
They do have a lot of potential. I mean, they looked solid last week. I've watched these girls come together the last couple years, and they were in all cylinders last week. A lot of these girls were winning matches they were supposed to lose, so they were rising to the occasion. And we had Gavin Brown beating their Eagle gal, in the final, Elordi, who she had lost to twice, and she went after her this time. So that team is really gelled, and let's see if they can put it together this week.
Yeah, so Gavin Brown was second, I think, at the Reno TOC. She's the 8th seed at our tournament. So that shows the depth that our state tournament has this year. It's pretty cool.
Weren't her and Elordi in the finals together at that TOC tournament?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, full disclosure, Al coaches at Rocky Mountain. Fred coaches at Buell. Buell, small but mighty. 4 girls coming, but 4 absolute hammers. Roxy Sheen, of course, state champ at 145. Eva Finley and Jasmine Carpenter, a couple of freshmen. And then it's the Diaper Dandy squad for you, Fred. 2 freshmen, 2 sophomores.
Yeah, we're young, and there's not many of us, but they work hard. So I'm excited to watch them wrestle.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, certainly. And then the last team we're going to break down here are the last 2 teams, and then we'll get to all the comments in the chat because they're really starting to pile up here. Al, Meridian, they took 6th place at District 3, but with at least Twait at 152. And probably you're looking at, you probably need both Trudell and De Leon to really make some noise at state, right? For Meridian to be in the team race. What do you think?
No, they do. I mean, Lisa's, in my opinion, she's going for her 3rd state title. She's an All-American. She's one of the best in the tournament. I think a lot of girls they're starting to increase the numbers at Meridian. So I see them being a future power at the pace they're going. But yeah, the girls that they have are solid and they're wrestling tough. So yeah, we can't discount them in these championships.
And last but certainly not least, here's CUNA. CUNA bringing Zoe Freeze. They're bringing Aurora Ryder, who took 5th at 114. Emma Stansell. This is a team that's got a lot of potential as well, Fred. CUNA, not a team that didn't get a ton of acclaim during the regular season, and yet took 3rd place at districts.
Yeah, they look good. With Taylor Drake and Zoe, both 1 seeds, they get the nod for the most number 1 seeds in the tournament. So
with a whopping 2. Yep.
Yeah, with 2.
Yeah, just shows you the depth and talent of this tournament. Okay,
there's not a lot of room for error here. Like any of these teams stumble, like it's somebody else's to take. So
it really is incredible. Here's we'll throw the comments on the screen here. Here's a shout out to Bollender at 107.
Good looking freshman.
Yes, Tiffany and Brian say it's great to see the excitement for the girls spreading like wildfire across the state for sure. Gina says CUNA took 3rd with only 9 girls at districts, 6 girls going to state. So that's pretty, Al, 6 of 9. That's high efficiency for CUNA's girls.
No, they're solid too. They're definitely going to be in the mix. So this is a very difficult one to predict. Because there's some inconsistencies here. Fred, I've seen girls who beat credentialed girls this year that had no credentials. So some girls are rising. I see a lot of new faces coming in this state tournament that don't have the accolades yet, but they will.
And that's the thing. Go ahead, Fred.
Well, I think you're just seeing like the younger girls are stepping up to the occasion. They're coming in with a lot more experience than we've had in the past. So,
and there's going to be girls that aren't even on our radar that are going to come into state and make noise. And it's happened the last several years for sure. Here's Amanda from Post Falls. She says, we hosted Thunder Ridge for the River City Duels. We have to say they hold the spot in our hearts up here. Yeah, that was cool. Cause getting teams to come up to North Idaho sometimes is difficult, but man, Thunder Ridge coming up, that showed the commitment level they had for sure. Here's Kendra. Shout out to the Price girls. Coach Snyder, Taylor Brown, tough and fun to watch for Thunder Ridge. Emma says, go Thunder. Kendra says, thanks for taking care of our girls, of course. Tiffany and Brian, just when you thought they were done, surprise, got a few more Twait kids to still come through. I'll be coaching until I'm 65.
Love it. got the freshman in at 107. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. Show of respect here between Post Falls and Thunder Ridge in the chat. Thunder Ridge saying, Post Falls, thanks for taking care of our girls. Of course, your kids were so kind and responsible. Can't wait to see them. Fred, that's the thing. These girls are going to go on the mat and compete against each other, but there is a real camaraderie and a real bond because once the high school season is over, a lot of them are competing on the same team, Team Idaho.
Yeah, we're all in it together. I mean, you got to compete against each other, but we're all in it together for the sport. So.
So Fred, I was looking, I mentioned several kids, they're an All-American, Fargo All-American. I'm looking, there's 12 girls that have won an age group All-American honor in this group at state. So that's a testament to you and all the staff, all the people working hard to build at the grassroots. So it's a good sign for the future of Idaho girls wrestling.
Yeah, we're just going to keep getting better, hopefully. So they keep showing up.
Yep, I agree.
Here is Tiffany and Brad again. Super excited for our Meridian girls to make some noise at state. Anthony Alagi, 165-pound weight class is stacked. I can see 6 or 7 girls with potential to make the finals. And that is, the cream is really going to rise to the top in some of these weight classes. Fred, is 165 the weight class you're most excited to see, or is it another weight class?
Yeah, 165 is tough. I think 114 with Kinsey Williams, our girl Allie, and Jolie and Talia. That's a fun one to watch too.
That's a stacked weight.
Yeah. I was thinking 114, 120 also could be pretty good. Kelly says, Twait, what's wrong with coaching at 65? Best job there is. That's Kelly Bartlett.
Kelly would know, right?
Yeah.
Guy's never going to quit coaching.
Yep, for sure.
We hope last.
Yes. Al, how about this? Zoe Freeze coming into state 39-0.
Solid. She's a summer wrestler, been working hard in the off season, so it's paying off. Real solid student, good hard-working wrestler. So, I wish her the best.
I'm wondering, are there any other undefeated girls coming in? Only because the competition is so tough throughout the season.
Elise Twait's still undefeated, I think.
Yeah.
Deanna Conrad is undefeated still.
She's undefeated in high school.
Yeah,
right,
for her life. Yeah.
She's a rare fight air there.
Yeah, for sure. Kelly says, looking forward to that 107 bracket. Of course, Drake. Miria.
Too. Yeah.
Yes. New Plymouth girls placed 8th with only 5 girls. They're taking 3 to state. That's even higher efficiency, Al. 3 of 5.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty good. Charlie Noah from Tri-Valley at 120. Hard to beat. Of course, she beat Jolie Slider earlier this year. She moved up to 120. Jolie said, I'm chasing you. I'm going to go up to 120 and beat you, and then I'm going to go back down to 114. I accomplished the mission. So I'm sure they'll both be cheering for each other in their respective weight classes. How about Cooper Bugner at 114? Going to shake some stuff up at state. We've got Amanda Beasts on the mat and Besties off for sure. Okay. Coach Snyder says, Brian, can you talk about girls 107 and 114 for us?
Yeah. Like already been mentioned, 2 of the most solid weights there are. 114, I think, is top to bottom. You've got 4 girls that could easily win it. Slider, Nichols, Williams, and Svankara. And then in the mix, the 6, 7, 8 seeds, even girls that are not seeded there, could really shake it up. That's, I think, top to bottom. 114 is probably the deepest weight. 107, again, we've talked Drake. Therian, I think she was a state champion as a freshman, and so she's got that under her belt as the 2 seed. Like Ben mentioned, the freshman from Idaho Falls, Bolander, looked just super solid at district, super impressed there at the 3 seed with against other state placers in that bracket at district. So those are 2 really solid weights. I think 14 is probably about as deep as we have in the tournament. 7 solid. 2 of the more fun weights to watch for sure. Some of the others, you have 32 where you have Conrad that it's just going to be tough to beat her. You kind of know coming in who the champion is of the bracket, but 14 and 7 are wide open because the competition's so deep.
Yep. For sure. Okay. Sherry says, proud of our Malad girls. We had some injuries, but took 3rd in a tough district, and Callie piggybacks on that and says, good luck, Malad girls. 3 going to state. We talked about Kiana Conrad from Blackfoot going big, all caps. And Mendy says, go get it, Malia Garcia. She is from New Plymouth, right?
Yep. Yep. And she looks really good this year. I think a sophomore. And in that bracket, she could go a long way too. I think she would have Williams in the semis. but she's fun to watch, and she's putting the time in. Stayed at our house during Fargo camp last year, so we got to know her a little bit, and just a great girl. Going to be fun to watch her.
Yep.
So a match I would like to see is at 235. You know, we have Amy Hartman's going for her third state title. She's already a 3-time finalist, All-American. But Rocky going against Rocky's Reese Moody. She had taken third, not last year, but the year before, and she came out a little late this year. She won Jaybird, so love to see that matchup. So we'll see if that happens.
Yes. Amanda wants to know 126 bracket thoughts. Fred, what do you think?
We got the returning state champ, Olivia Bezdicek, so she'll be tough to beat. But Shelby Garton coming down from Timberlake. I don't know if she's the 2 seed. I'm trying to think who.
3. Hanks is the 2.
And Kasia Hanks, yeah. Kasia's been a state finalist, so but those 3 right there, ones to watch for sure.
That's going to
be. You got Elisa Sorrow from Rocky. She's looking solid. She won the district. She's really starting to step up. Placed last year, so she's really starting to peak. So we'll see how she plays out this weekend.
Yeah, has Garden wrestled Olivia or Kasia this season that you know?
Garden wrestled. Who'd she wrestle at Raleigh? She either wrestled Olivia or who did she wrestle?
I can't remember if they've hit, but
32. They were both up at 32, and I think they wrestled in the semis. Garden ended up third.
Okay, so, yeah, you're right. So Olivia beat her 10-3. So yeah, that could be a fun one there too, with Olivia dropping back down to 26 for district. Shakes that up a little bit.
Yes, for sure. Samantha says, let's go Sarah Torabau from Oakley. Yes, love it. Elise Twait from Tiffany and Brian here, looking to close out an awesome high school career, undefeated and won all the toughest tournaments. Excited for her college future. Yeah, so are we. So is the whole state.
Yeah, seriously.
Conrad, 78-0 in her career. Let's go Blackfoot.
Right, sure. There we go. We're talking 4-time state champ undefeated on that trajectory. That's pretty impressive for sure.
Yeah, here's Kenna Wagoner from Tri-Valley, taking 3 out of 4 girls. 126, also tough for sure. Daniel says the Shelby Bezdicek match was closer than the final score would indicate at Raleigh, and so we'll see what happens at state for sure. Julie and Eric Willoughby say Natalia Cox from New Plymouth, freshman, someone to watch there as well. So, Fred, I was going to ask you, of our champions last year, only 2 were seniors. Let me double check that. Yeah, Claire Waite from Boise, Nia Avellino from Caldwell. So all the rest, underclassmen. How many repeat champions do you think we'll see? I mean, I think there's going to be some turnover for sure, but
yeah, so possibly 114.
And that's Talia Nichols from Rocky.
Yeah. Who's at 120?
So Bezdicek's
at 26, Conrad at 32.
Do you think each of them can move up and win? They wouldn't defend their title necessarily, but they would win another championship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got to be the front runners right now until somebody beats them. So
what about at 100? You got Raylene O'Connor, right? She's a senior.
Yep.
But she's got some, she's got Bowie from Centennial and Herschel from Rocky that'll likely meet in the quarters. So whoever wins that side of the bracket will probably win it.
Yeah, my girl Roxy's the 1 seed, so excited to watch her wrestle. Elise didn't wrestle last year. She was hurt.
No, she won at 152.
Okay.
Yep. Champ at 152. Courtney Hunt from American Falls won the title at 132 this year. Is she at 132 again this year?
She's at 38.
Oh, 38.
Her and Zoe have met a couple times.
Okay. So. All right. Everybody's stepping up their game. Rihanna Walter from Canyon Ridge won it at 165 last year.
That's going to be tough this year. That's
that weight is so wide open. There's like they were saying earlier, there's probably 5 or 6 girls or more that could win that weight.
It's probably the toughest weight there is to handicap. I mean, there's no clear favorite. Molly Olagi started the season really late and has come in and beat Walters. Hasn't seen Anderson, and Torbo is kind of she's a hammer as well. So that's a wide open. That's a tough one to handicap for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned Roxy Sheen, Kelly in the chat also, Roxy Sheen at 138. And then we had Shauna Anderson from Thunder Ridge at 185, and then Amy Hartman from Mountain Home at 235 last year. And she's going for the 3-time, along with Elise Twait. They both were going for 3 championships in their career. And we talked about Al, you talked about Raylan O'Connor at 100. Billy and Chelsea say don't count Taylor Pratt out from Thunder Ridge either. Finally been 100% released. I know she's gone through some injuries early in her career, but I think that might be one of the toughest ones for someone to repeat at that 100-pound weight class.
Yeah, it's solid.
Yeah, and going back to the 2-time state placers, I believe Marissa Jimenez of Caldwell is the only one to be a 3-timer to date. So, I mean, we have the 4-timers, so they would join that small club.
Lita Cruz.
She was a 4-timer.
Yeah. Lita.
I think Alyssa was a 4-timer, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
You're talking about 4-time champ?
3-time champs. There's only been one, Marissa Jimenez.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
Then the other 2 won 4, Randalls and Cruz.
Gotcha.
Yep, gotcha. Jolie Slider going for her 4th placement at state as well. So is Zoe Fries from CUNA, and Amy Hartman, of course. So those are, I mean, and this is all the data that you will find in Al's extensive girls wrestling state tournament preview. It should be on our site, IdahoSports.com, at some point before the state tournament. Tiffany and Brian say best of luck, Zoe. Excited for her to finish this thing on top. And then HA wants to know, how does seeding look this year? Any predictions for highest placement for lowest seed? Brian, it kind of sounds like maybe 165. We could see like the 7 or 8 potentially.
Yeah, it's possible. That weight's wide open. Gosh, lowest seed. That's always a tough one. I'd have to go through the brackets and see.
Yeah,
100. District. Gosh, 100 is also wide open. That's another weight that you could have a 6 or 7 seed pull it off. Obviously, O'Connor is super solid, returning state champ. Brown is great, but Herschel's solid. Maybe from the 100 or the 165 weights.
Yeah,
I'm not calling a person because it could be any of them.
right. That's what I'm saying. I'm looking at 165, and there's a lot of girls. As I'm just going in order on seed line, like, yep, I could see her.
Yeah.
I could see her. Like,
Who shows up?
Yes,
Yep.
for sure. Nick wants to give a shout out to the Oakley girl that's Torabao at 165 for sure. So, okay. Fred, thank you so much for coming on all season long to talk about girls wrestling. I'm most excited for this state tournament. You know, we talked about all the boys tournaments that are going on, but this is still the absolute best of the best. If you win a state championship this weekend on the girls' side, there's no doubt that you will have earned it. How do you go about preparing your team for the absolute grind that it's going to take to come out on top in their individual weight class?
We're just trying to treat it as any old tournament, really. Just take one match at a time and just focus on things we can control. Like, you can control your attitude and your effort and trying to score points. You can't really control the results, so try not to focus on that too much and just have some fun and wrestle hard. So
I like it. Yep.
I'm excited for these brackets. The girls' brackets they're going to start off just match after match. There's so many good matchups, even in the first rounds. So I'm excited for these brackets.
Yeah, there's no build up here, Al. If you don't bring it right away, you might be on that other side of the bracket before you can even look up.
I mean, we can talk about last year. We can talk about during the season. We can talk about what we did last week. We can debate the rankings, but at the end of the day, you got to take those rankings and go. Throw them away. You got to show up to the mat and wrestle this weekend. So any kid out there that's thinking about that, just focus on what you have to do this weekend, because it's going to come down to just being ready. We all see it. Kids rise to the occasion. So I wish every kid the best this weekend. Look forward to it.
Yeah, for sure. And then Al, I'm gonna guess your prediction for girls. Check back with me on day 2, right? We'll see you on day 2.
Day 2.
Yeah.
There's so many variables, so many probabilities. It's very difficult right now to is who shows up.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Last comment, and then we'll get out of here because we went 90 minutes tonight. But I thought it was good to really cover every classification, give each classification its own window. And we talked for girls wrestling for about a half an hour, which is outstanding. In terms of comments, girls wrestling far surpassed any other classification we had. So way to go, girls wrestling fans, for sure. Manny gets the final word tonight. Brian's mustache deserves
it's big enough it'll hold one too. So
yeah.
nice shelf.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Fred, thank you so much for everything you've done for us all season long, and best of luck to you and your Buell girls this weekend at State.
Thank you.
Of course. Al and Brian, thank you guys as well. I know you guys are going to have a great time over there in Pocatello this weekend as well. So thank you.
Can't wait. Like they said early on the show, it's Christmas, all holidays wrapped into one. Best time of the year.
Yeah.
We love it.
No doubt about it. All right. Big thanks to everybody that hung out in the chat tonight as well here on the Matt Chat Prepcast. One last favor before we go. If you could hit that like button or that subscribe button and then share this when it's all said and done, that'll help everybody who wasn't able to be here live tonight find the show a little easier tomorrow, Thursday, maybe even Friday if they're driving over to Pocatello Friday morning. It'll help them find it a little easier on social media amongst all the other things that are going on. So if you could hit that like button, share it when it's all said and done, we would greatly appreciate it. All right, for Al Fontes, Brian Zollinger, and Fred Bartlett, my name is Brandon Baney. We will be back next week to talk about what actually happened at State. No more predicting. We'll find out who was right, who was wrong, and which teams rose to the top. It's going to be so much fun. Until then, thanks for tuning into the Idaho Matt Chat Prepcast. Good luck at State this weekend, everybody. Drive safe, and we'll see you next week for another edition, a post-championship edition of the Idaho Matt Chat Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.